And we're off. Thanks, Darian. We are off. What do you guys say? We do this? We do. A little scooch of a live stream? Get this bad boy going. Are we early? I think we're right at 11 o'clock. Good Lord. If you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. Gosh darn it. First topic we're going to do today, before I do my intro, first topic we're going to do today is this whole, well, was it a secret that Biden flew in 320,000 people? This is one of those stories. When I first started reading it a couple of days ago, I was like, is this fake news? Is this fake news? Because nobody's reporting on this. Now people are reporting on it from the standpoint of, we're going to do a fact check on this. It wasn't secret. Well, that doesn't necessarily make the 320,000 people that Biden's flown into the country. That doesn't make it, okay. I mean, they disclosed in some massive book somewhere that, with all these stats, and you got a million stats coming at you from 100 different directions. See, we told you that, they're flying, that Biden's flying them in. You guys just weren't paying attention. Now, this came out because of a lawsuit that the Freedom of Information. Hey, what are you doing? What is Customs and Border Protection doing? Remember a couple of years ago when we had all those people at airports? Like, what are all of the migrants doing at the airports? Yeah. Well, now we know 320,000 of them have been flown by the Biden administration into the United States based on the one app on your phone. Literally, the one app from Customs and Border Protection that allows people to basically get a seat at the table and fly in and get their process going. I mean, how can we make it easier for you to get into the United States and do your thing? How can we help you help us? It's wild, right? This is a wild story. I'm going to go through I've got a bunch of stuff lined up on this one. Let's get into it. Let's not dick around anymore here. Let's just get right in and go. Here we go. Tristan? And I'm reading from, the first one I'm reading from is from Zero Hedge, because on a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0. How about having that on your byline on your website? I think that's just great. Great. It's a quote from Fight Club. All right. Let's do this. Like I said, we have got a bombshell report that reveals that the Biden administration, through Customs and Border Protection, has secretly, no transparency, they've flown in 320,000 illegal immigrants into the United States. The big story here is that they can't deny it. The numbers are the numbers. They just haven't been transparent. Remember back a couple of years ago when all the migrants were flying? We're like, how were they? I thought they walked across the border. Oh no, we're flying them in. Let's get into it. Here we go. All right, how's that? That was a pretty good intro, right? How you guys doing on the live stream? Hello again. All you guys, a bunch of regulars there. I love that. Being able to actually recognize people that are in the live stream. Say, hey, I know that dude. All right. So one of the first things that I'll talk about, Tristan cut, and let's go right into here. So one of the first things that I always do is I always do searches just to see, because sometimes you guys send me articles all the time, and sometimes I look at them and I go, that is some nonsense. I mean, I wish it was true, but that is some nonsense. So I've got to vet these stories so I don't look like a complete jackass, reading something that's just wildly out of line. But this story had so few people covering it that I was kind of like, this does seem like possible fake news. But the source is coming from, Customs and Border Protection is saying that, yeah, we did it, but it wasn't a secret. Everybody was, kind of aware of it. No, we weren't. No, we weren't. Because Trump just talked about it on Tuesday, Super Tuesday. He went, we don't know where they're coming from. 320,000 illegals flew in. Security is, at all-time low. He went through that routine. And Elon Musk jumped in, and we're going to talk about Elon Musk, saying there's something way greater than 9/11 coming down the pike. All right. And that's one of the things that I always think about on this story. All these illegals coming in. What's the end goal here? What is the end goal? Having millions of people come into the country. The number one you guys always say is, well, they're voters for the Democratic Party. And then, Democratic Party would fact check that by saying, I can't really vote in elections. And then Republican side, conservative side, well, they can in some local. So what I would say is they can't vote in presidential elections yet. Right? Yet. Is that coming? I don't know. That's why this whole thing is like, what are we even doing here? Okay, so if you Google Biden flew 320,000, just leave it wide open. Take your parameters, crunch them down, get the basics, get your keywords in there. So now the first two stories are ABC News is going to do a fact focus. Claims Biden administration is secretly flying. Yeah, they gave it a thumbs down. No, that's not. They recognize the actual facts are true. But the fact that it was secret? Oh, no, that wasn't secret. We disclosed all that. No, you didn't. That's why this is a story. And now you're trying to cover up your traces. Oh, yeah. Because mainstream media has not touched this one. Story number 2 right here. Fact focus. Claims that the Biden administration is secretly flying. They called it bogus. Okay. All right. So 1 out of 2, first 2 are saying that they're not even recognizing that this is a thing. They're just saying, well, the way we're going to discredit it so that most people, when they Google this stuff, they pull it up. Oh, yeah, it's bogus. It's bogus. And the guts of it are that it's true. It's 100% true. And Customs and Border Protection is not denying it. Whereas when we asked them a couple of years ago, hey, what are all these people doing flying? They don't have passports. They don't have, driver's licenses. They're just coming in. What did we get told at that point in time? Nothing. Stonewall. Just nothing. Just, yeah, if you avoid it, just, it'll go away. You just, yeah, people are flying. Look like they're all from Central America or South America. Huh. It's kind of weird. Yeah, a lot of them say that they're immigrating here. Huh. What do you have to say about that? President Biden? Yeah. Vanilla is a pretty good flavor of ice cream. So if you go on down the list, you got House Republicans, you've got NBC Montana. NBC Montana was the only major network or whatever affiliate to come out and just run the story as it was. And then you've got the normal, you got New York Post here. Let me just show you guys some of this. Yeah, sorry about that. You know what? We're going to go like this. So at the top, let's run you through. So there's Biden flew 320. You got fact focus number 1. You got fact focus number 2. You got Joe Biden secretly. That's a government site. You got NBC Montana, story number 4. Then you start to get into it. New York Post, they go down, and we're going to read that one. They go down the hey, Elon Post says the end of the world is coming right after this. You know what I mean? Then you've got NBC Montana. Then you got Fox News. Fox News covers it, and the Daily Mail covers it. The Hindustan Times covers it, but nobody else. Just crickets, just nothing. And then we get down below that. We've got another fact check. So what this tells me, and then right below that, you've got the actual article. This is how far down the actual article that this is based on. The Center for Immigration Studies, government admission, Biden parole, flights create. And that's 4 days ago. That was on Monday. And it's taken this long for mainstream media to recognize it. And they're recognizing it as a fact-checking mission. So that tells me this is legit. Because they're not trying to deny it. They're just trying to, put a little lipstick on a pig because it's not a good look. Hey, when we asked you a few years ago what you were doing, and you said, nothing to see here, nothing going on here. Well, we didn't believe you then, and we don't believe you now. A Freedom of Information lawsuit. Let's get this squared away. That doesn't look good. How about that? Is that better? Yeah. Freedom of Information Act lawsuit has revealed that the Biden administration has flown at least 320,000 migrants into the United States in an effort to reduce the number of crossings at the southern border. Now, if you think about that, that's pretty smart. Now, if we can just get a whole bunch of them in and nobody will notice, I mean, they won't really notice at the airports, will they? Yeah, we did notice. Everybody noticed. What is going on here with all the people that knowingly, what's going on here? You know, don't worry about that. Yeah, they're just travelers, just travelers coming into the U.S. The program at the center of the Freedom of Information Act litigation is perhaps the most enigmatic and least known of the Biden administration uses of the Customs and Border Protection One cell phone scheduling app. So this is that app that 60 Minutes is talking about. You know, you get your instructions on Google, you go to the app, you work your way through that. The world is your oyster, right? So the One cell phone scheduling app, even though it is responsible for almost invisibly importing by air 320,000 aliens with no legal right to enter the United States since it got underway in late 2022. You just go on the app, tell them your story, and you know, you're probably not going to get U.S. citizenship because you probably don't have the right to, but you're going to be let into the country. You're going to be given a work visa, and you know, you're going to have to wait for your hearing way down the road. Meantime, there's another 320,000 people just dumped into the United States. Welcome to America, right? Welcome to America. Customs and Border Protection had initially refused to disclose information about the flights. Uh-oh, okay. All right. My attention is now piqued. Why? Which use a cell phone app. So they're not willing to disclose about the flights because it could be a security risk. To who? To whom? I don't know what the correct use of it. To whom? I don't know. Yeah, right? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. Under these legally dubious parole programs, aliens who cannot legally enter the country use Customs and Border Protection One app to apply for travel authorization and temporary humanitarian release from those airports. The parole program allows for 2-year periods of legal status during which adults are eligible for work authorization. And ultimately, it gets them in the country. The flights resulted in illegal immigrants being placed in at least 43 American cities. Get the whole damn country. I mean, you just do. All right, come on in, guys and gals and kids. More the merrier. The flights, okay, so 43. Under the terms of their release, migrants are able to remain in the U.S. for 2 years without obtaining legal status. I'm sure that will work out just fine. It's all good, right? We're just one big happy family. Yeah. Meanwhile, and this is topic number 2 for today. Meanwhile, Governor Hochul in New York City is bringing 1,000 extra bodies and law enforcement to the subway system because it's gotten so violent. So, yeah, we're still mainly a happy family. We're kicking illegals out of shelter systems and got all kinds of storylines going on. Just, what are you doing? Well, we were a sanctuary city. Now we're not. We're not really sure what we're going to do. San Francisco is voting in reasonable laws. What is the world coming to? Shenanigans, I say, right? So we got 43 different American cities they're coming into, and this is between January through December of 2023. This is 1 year. January through December 2023, 320,000 flown into the United States. Spread them out 43 countries, 43 cities. Under the terms of their release, migrants are able to remain in the U.S. for 2 years without obtaining legal status and are meanwhile eligible for work authorization. They're eligible through this program. They're eligible. All right. I feel better already. Oh, yeah. It's wild. The Biden administration initially refused to disclose which airports undocumented aliens were being flown into, citing a law enforcement exception. New information reveals that the government thought bad actors, who's that? They might pose a safety risk or create law enforcement opportunities, with Customs and Border Protection lawyers writing that revealing the specific airports would reveal information about the relative number of individuals arriving and thus resources expended at particular airports. We would like to know that. We would like to know that. As citizens living here legally, maybe being born and raised here, we would like to know who's coming into the country. That would be good. That would be a handy thing to know. In response to the CIS report, which is labeled as hate mail or hate group, literally when I started looking at this, today is a Thursday, I started looking at this on Tuesday. And one of my first stories was, media, you got to do better. And this was in the comments. Media, you got to do better. This is fake news. Look at who it was written by. It was written by somebody that somebody says, Southern Poverty Law Group says is a hate group and puts out hate information. And you're like, well, no, they just put out a report that you don't like. So then you call it a hate group and then they automatically get dismissed. And you probably didn't even read the article. You probably didn't even read the story, because the bottom line is Customs and Border Protection, they are saying that this is the real deal. This did happen. This is happening. But what they're not saying is, oh yeah, I mean, we information was there the whole time. What are you guys talking about? It's not a secret. You're like, 320,000 being let into the country via plane? Yeah, what are we missing here? What are we missing here? We're missing transparency, actual transparency, right? In response to the CIS report, Elon Musk wrote on X, treason indeed, ushering in vast numbers of illegals is why Secretary Mayorkas was impeached by the House, adding, they are importing voters. This is why groups on the far left fight so hard to stop voter ID requirements under the absurd guise of protecting the right to vote. And that's why I say, yeah, you can't say that, they're able to vote in a presidential election, but in some states they're able to vote in local elections, right? And then there's lawsuits been going on. Now you can't vote at all. It's pretty clear that, the Constitution says you gotta be a U.S. citizen to vote. Well, but if it's not really representative of the community, that's because you've loaded up the community with illegals who don't have a job and who aren't able, they're not part of this process because they're not U.S. citizens yet. So Elon Musk put that out. And then Musk also suggested that the national security threat posed by the program makes it highly probable that the groundwork is being laid for something far worse than 9/11, a terrorist attack. A terrorist attack is what we're saying. Now, you guys know me. I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, but what I can't work my way out of, and not because I don't want to believe that they're true, but most of the time I get fed a million stories, right? And I got to be able to have my BS meter out and go, all right, if I read that one, that's a whack of credibility to the channel because it's simply not true. We'd like it to be true, but it's not true. It focuses on this angle of the story instead of the real guts of it, which are, this just isn't a big deal. But what I can't get away from in the whole immigration thing is, why are we doing this? And by we, I mean the federal government. Why are we doing this? What is the end game here? What is the end goal? And that's where I always get stuck with, because we're such a good country and we just love our fellow human beings. And gosh darn it, America. No, I don't think so. So then I'm left with why are we doing this? Yeah. There's something out there. There is an underlying reason. There is an underlying storyline. There is an underlying push, whether it's, world control. I don't know. But when I say those things out loud, I just kind of think to myself, Sean, you're becoming a crotchety old man. And it's all going to hell in a handbasket, that kind of thing. I just, I kind of want to know, all right, what are we doing here? So this administration, here's Elon Musk, this administration is both importing voters. Look at how he states it, importing voters. That's funny. and creating a national security threat from unvetted illegal immigrants. I'm not arguing. It's highly probable that the groundwork is being laid for something far worse than 9/11, just a matter of time. Huh. I don't disagree with that. The storyline that I would say there is look at the Chinese nationals coming across the southern border in San Diego. They're flying from China to Ecuador, to Quito, and they're flying from there to Tijuana in Mexico or wherever. And then they're getting a little escort by the cartel, for their final leg. I mean, they've got the means to do it. So many of these other folks from Central America and South America, they're putting a little bit of money down because they don't have a ton of money to begin with, put a little bit of money down, and then they're working their way, out of that debt when they come to the United States by hook or by crook. And, that's where this whole stuff to me is like, all right, so you've got indentured servitude going on. You got a whole bunch of sex trafficking. You got like 80,000 kids that have been brought into the U.S. that unaccompanied minors. Where'd they go? I'm not really sure. Sure, they're all fine though. They're not being used for, sexual purposes at all. I'm sure they're all just, they're in those sweatshops somewhere. And it's like, what happened to them? What happened to the kids? And you see these horror stories, these videos of watching them. One yesterday of a 10-year-old kid, his group left him behind and he's just crying. Do you imagine being in a new country? You don't have parents with you. You're 10 years old. Some guy rolls up on you in a, border protection van. You don't know if they're good, they're bad. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You have nobody. I mean, talk about not having parentals there. I mean, how scary would that be? Frightening. And then, these kids just get taken into these various scenarios. It's not good. It's not the way it's supposed to go. So Elon Musk, he basically highlighted this article. And it's the main article from the Daily Mail, kind of going through. There's that article. So let's skip through here. Yep, that's the same thing. Elon Musk says Biden flying 320 of unvetted migrants into the U.S. sets the stage for something far worse than 9/11. What does that look like? Daily Mail covers it. Here's the fact focus. This is what we're going to look at here now. Fact focus. This is how they're trying to get everybody to go, oh, okay, yeah, that was just a bunch of nut jobs. 320,000 people. He wouldn't do that to us, would he? He's a nice old man, and he loves sniffing little children. I mean, who doesn't love sniffing little children? That's just what you do, right? It's what you do. So the fact focus from ABC News, not running the actual story, but doing a fact focus to discredit the original story, claims that Biden administration is secretly flying migrants into the country are unfounded. Which part is unfounded? Because this is information disclosed from Customs and Border Protection. So which part was unfounded? Well, most people don't read past the damn headline, do they? No. See, you got all these people. I thought that was untrue. No, it's not untrue. It's the real deal. But I read a story on ABC News. Well, did you read the whole story? No, don't have time. My life's too busy. My kid's got 18,000 different sporting events. My wife's got crochet and, Bible study and couldn't read the article. So now your worldview is based on not really checking an article out and going down this, put your head in the sand. Everything's going to be fine. In his victory speech Tuesday, former President Donald Trump echoed false statements. Are these false statements? False statements on social media that the Biden administration had secretly flown hundreds of thousands of migrants to the United States. Well, let's just break that down. False statements, well, him just saying something is automatically indicated as a false statement, right? Whatever comes out of Orange Man Bad's mouth has got to be false. It's got to be hate speech. I mean, it's got to be just everything that's wrong with the world because he's saying it. So we just throw that out there. The Biden administration has secretly flown. Well, they did fly him. And was it secretly? Well, I mean, they didn't exactly disclose this, right? They weren't coming in with a band or landing at LaGuardia saying, hey, we're bringing in some illegals. They didn't do that. In the Super Tuesday's victory speech, so we're going to trounce on Trump right at the beginning. We're just going to trounce on him. In the Super Tuesday's victory speech, former President Donald Trump elevated false information, and that's as far as a lot of people are going to get, that had gone viral on social media. This had not really gone viral on social media. Mainstream media did and has not reported on this. They will after a few more days of this. Like, is it true? Is it true? Did the Biden administration secretly fly in all these people? Claiming that the Biden administration secretly flew hundreds of thousands of migrants into the U.S. Many posts sharing the claim referred to a report by the Center for Immigration Studies. That's what the whole thing's about, right? A group that advocates for immigration restrictions. And that's why nobody likes them, because, we just need to bring everybody in. Mainstream media is so, this is the greatest thing ever. Just bring millions of people into the country. It'll be fine. We love our fellow human being. Sanctuary cities rock. Yeah, that whole thing. It said the administration refused to list individual airports where people arrived under a Biden parole program that allows Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans to stay in the U.S. for 2 years. How about Haiti? Haiti has got some shenanigans going on. Instead of spending money helping out Israel, instead of spending money helping out Ukraine, Ukraine's just going to get trounced anyway. End of the day, they're toast. How about we go down to Haiti? Because a whole bunch of people coming in from Haiti because they got that whole, they've got gangs basically running their country. And people are just going to leave. How about we go down and work on that a little bit? Actually do something that physically has an impact on, I don't know, the U.S.? What about that? What about that? Provide a little stability there? I don't know. That makes sense. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection each month publishes the number of migrants admitted under the program by nationality. This information is available on its website and in press releases. It does not list arriving airports. So you've got these numbers thrown at you, but you don't know where they're coming from. So is it secret? Well, I mean, it is. It kind of is. Would I use the word secret? I would, because I think that's more accurate. But if you wanted to use a word, it's lack of transparency. You weren't transparent with these numbers. You held them out there, but if you got to, have a PhD in immigration study to figure it out, then how transparent is it really? And the fact that we're doing fact checks on this topic makes me think, this is one that they didn't want to get out. Didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. Trump said during his speech, today was announced that 325,000 people, this is on Super Tuesday, right? Today it was announced that 325,000 people were flown in from parts unknown. Migrants were flown in airplane, not going through borders. All true, all true. It was unbelievable. All true. I said that must be a mistake. Maybe he said that. True. They flew 325,000 migrants, flew them in over the borders and into our country. So what part of that is incorrect? What part is wrong? Yeah. Maybe the secret part, right? We don't know where from they're flown. We don't know where they're from. But migrants are not being flown into the U.S. randomly. That I feel better. All right. This is all on purpose. Oh, I'm down with that. That's okay. I mean, all right. So, random versus non-random. You guys planned it. I get it. Oh, I mean, it's okay then. I mean, I'll let this fact check go. Yeah. I mean, that's literally first sentence in, third paragraph. But migrants are not being flown into the U.S. randomly. It's on purpose. So much better. I feel so much better. Under a Biden policy in effect since January 2023, up to 30,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. I mean, those are not good countries to be bringing in people from. I understand there's a lot of people suffering in those countries, but is that seriously our problem? Well, it is now. It's going to be moving forward. Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. They can enter the country monthly if they apply online with a financial sponsor and arrive at a specified airport, paying their own way. Okay, so that's another key thing there. if you're going to go down the road of pointing this fact out, make sure you get it correct that theoretically, technically, they're supposed to be paying their own way. But it's my understanding they're getting some help with that as well, right? They're getting some help. There's always somebody out there. We'll help you out. Yeah, no problem. Biden exercised his parole authority, and the parole issue is one of the big immigration issues. And it basically, Biden can use parole to like bring people, war refugees from Ukraine area when Russia invaded, right? All right, they got to get the F out of Dodge. Where do they go? United States, we grant them parole. They can come in, get work visas, get going. All right, that I understand. Afghanistan citizens, after, we had that incredibly debacled, I mean, what a debacle that was, right? Just, we left, what, $50 billion worth of ammunitions and stuff in Afghanistan. Just the total cluster. People got killed. I mean, just what a mess that was. People coming out of Afghanistan for political reasons granted parole, but not this mass migration. So that's where Biden has taken it to the next level and said, under parole, go ahead and bring these people in. So how far did we get down here? So online with a financial sponsor and arrived at a specific airport, paying their own way, Biden exercised his parole authority, which under a 1952 law, 1952, allows him to admit people only on a case-by-case basis for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit, or just because for the heck of it. Just bring them in, bring them in, bring them in. Because you can't tell me you're bringing 325,000 people into the country and you're checking each one on a case-by-case basis. They've just checked a box somewhere on that app. Yep, I need help. Bring me in. Here's a closer look. Here's the claim. The Biden administration has secretly flown more than 300,000 unvetted migrants into the country. Here's the facts, per ABC. An article published on Monday by the Center for Immigration Studies examined a major example of how Biden has exercised his parole authority for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. But he didn't really disclose that, did he? He kind of did, but it wasn't very transparent. Because if we would have known about it, yeah, people would have been like, no, that's a no-go. We're doing what now? Doing what now? That's how you get all these folks into the country, right? Each month, U.S. Customs and Border Protection discloses. Here's how they're trying to make you believe. All right, yeah, it's all good. It's all fun. They disclose how many people from these 4 countries were allowed to enter the country. On January 26th, the agency reported 327,000 were vetted and authorized for travel. It's all good. It's all good. Well, then how come we're having so many incidences of violence by illegals in the country that we haven't really vetted? So many questions. There were more than 67,000 Cubans, 126,000 Haitians, 53,000 Nicaraguans, and 81,000 Venezuelans. I mean, if you want to pick some countries with some instability, just go with that 4-pack right there. You don't even need a 6-pack. You don't need a half rack. You need a 4-pack. Make your day, right? The Center for Immigration Studies article says CBP approved flights that brought 320 to the U.S. last year. The author, Todd Bensman, learned that they came to 43 airports, but the government refused to divulge which ones. We've covered that, citing an exemption under the Freedom of Information Act for law enforcement sensitive information. Now, we talked about that. It's like, nah, you just didn't really want to go down the road of being full disclosure on this because it's a bad look. It's a terrible look. And now the cat's out of the bag. You got Trump yelling about it. And then guys like me kind of come in on the tail end and go, gotcha. Benjamin said Wednesday he doesn't consider the program secretive, but finds it enigmatic and lacking in transparency. That's what I would say. Borderline secret. That's where I would go. I would go borderline secret. The migrants are not coming in from parts unknown, as Trump charged. Well, but we also, I would disagree with that, because how do we know where these people are really coming from? They are literally just, plunking in on an app. And if you've seen the app, I mean, it is so basic. You just put some information in and then we're going to kind of vet them. They are coming in from parts unknown. We know that, right? But, if you're on government side, you're going to say, oh, no, we vetted them. We fully know where they're coming from. No, you don't. Customs and Border Protection vets each one for eligibility and publishes the number of airport arrivals from Cuba, that 4-pack we talked about. Social media posts, including one by Elon Musk, charge that the administration is doing this to bring in voters. Here they go. But people admitted into the country under parole leave no path to citizenship. They can obtain work permits for a limited time, but voters must be U.S. citizens. So why are we bringing them in? Why are we bringing them in? Yeah. But people admitted into the country under parole have no path to citizenship. Yet, right? Biden has exercised parole authority far more than any of his predecessors. And it's one of the tools that he has used to get people into the country. Hey, I can't bring them in, these other ways. They look just terrible. But I can do mass parole. It's a tool that isn't really meant for this type of situation. It's meant for a specific country or, region, something going sideways. All right, bring them in. And that makes, Vietnam War would be an example. All right, let's mass parole these folks in. Yep, get it. That one makes sense. What he's doing is just telling people from all over the world, come on in, it'll be good. Just be a big party. Party in USA 2024. Angelo Hernandez, a White House spokesperson, said Wednesday that reports of secretly flying people into the country were categorically false. Were they? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Because I would say that is not true. The fact that they flew here, the numbers were correct. Nobody's saying anything about that. The countries we know were correct. They're identified. The fact that they're thoroughly screened, tell me another fast one. That's just nonsense, right? That's nonsense. The Trump campaign and Musk representatives did not immediately respond to requests for comment Wednesday. Okay, so that's ABC. ABC News. They don't run an actual story on it. They run a fact check on it. Here's WRAL News. Fact check. Claims Biden administration is secretly flying migrants into the country are unfounded. The only part about there is your definition of secretly. Otherwise, this is just what you've got going on. It's crazy, right? It's crazy that these are how the news stories are being manipulated. You've got an actual story, and you've got a story that took place back in 2 years ago. Everybody was, what's the deal with all the immigrants flying? What's the deal with all of them at the airports? Because I think a lot of it happened it was kind of just as we were flying again, coming out of the pandemic, and people were like, holy cow, what's going on here? And you'd see an entire line of, folks that are clearly from Central America or South America or something. And you just say, what's the dealio here? What's going on here? And the U.S. government, nothing to see. Nothing to see. I mean, just, they're flying. Where are they flying to? They're just flying. They're just, flying. And then 2 years later, here we are. Hey, we figured it out. This is what they're doing. Now there's fact checks, all this craziness, right? It'll be interesting. Do you think tonight, President Biden, fearless leader of the free world, will he talk, about this thing at all? Will he bring that up? Because he's probably going to butcher it, right? And will he say her name? If you know the name of who I'm talking about. Yeah. Will he say her name? Probably not. And these are hot topics going on because people are like, hey, these are indications of what's happening in the real world. And yet we're being told another thing. And then mainstream media, number one, isn't even covering it. Or number two, is putting such a spin on it that it makes you believe from the outset, from the get-go, that the topic is bogus. Oh, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I saw an article on ABC News. It said that didn't happen. But which part of that didn't happen? I don't know, the whole thing. That's what people walk away from. And that's how people get, influenced in a certain direction. And that's what made me think this topic here, this has got some legs because we know it's true. Customs and Border Protection is saying it's true. It's just that the way that it's coming out makes people think, if they're willing to do that, what else is going on behind the scenes here that we're not aware of? And that's what I come down to. It's like, all right, why are we manipulating the facts on a news story that's clearly, obviously true? And we're doing a full court press to, right at the get-go, nah, that's written by a hate group. Don't believe it. It's fake news. Well, did you read it? Oh, no, it's written by a hate group. Now, by hate group, you mean a group that writes stuff that you don't like. That's now what a hate group is, right? I mean, just anybody who says something that somebody else doesn't like, that's a hate group. Don't believe them. It's all nonsense. Complete BS. Yep, can't believe them. You're like, did you read it? Oh, can't do that. All right, that's it for me on this one. I have beaten this one into the ground. I think it's a wild topic. Did it happen? Absolutely. And here we sit. And moving forward with the State of the Union address tonight, be interesting to see if this topic is recognized and if, somebody having their head bashed in by an illegal immigrant, we'll see if that topic comes up as well. All right, that's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now. Live streamers, stand board. We still got a lot of stuff to cover. We got stuff coming through. Hey, top chat. That means something over there. Active chat. Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Man Bull Shark, and thanks for all the subscriptions that you donated. That was really cool. Got the ball rolling on that. Chuck Norris Gun Club, welcome to the show. Yep, glad you're here, man. Call Girl SNS. You guys are interacting. That's great. Samantha, you're there. All right, I'm going to drink a little water and we're going to move on. You know what? Something was funny that I watched last night. It was, what was it? Oh, who was it? It was a guy I didn't recognize. Cute blonde Megan who she got fired from Fox. She's got her own show. They were playing a clip of Gavin Newsom, and they were talking about how Gavin Newsom was being asked if he would run for president. And he literally with a straight face, I don't know if you've seen this clip, he literally with a straight face said, why would I want to run up against somebody with such esteem, that is held in such high regard, that is such an ethical, moral individual? He didn't say those exact words, but you're sitting there going, who's he talking? He's talking about Biden? Really? Huh. And it's that spin of, getting somebody to believe. If you hear that enough times, maybe you think Biden, and he's listing off programs, and all I can think of is, no, none of that is true. And the fact that you're even saying that leads me to believe that you are just so wildly disconnected from reality. But so many people right now are talking about, there's no way Biden's going to be able to make it through another 4 years. No way. He's not even going to be able to make it through the election, right? So we're going to have some kind of switch out. What's that going to look like? I don't know. Sure is interesting though, right? Sure is wild. So the next one, so my point to that is we've got all these, sound killed there. We've got all of these Democrats, and their whole thing is, and in particular, Gavin Newsom, he's like, what's going on with all the homelessness? There's homeless everywhere. What's going on there? And then the story I'm about to read to you now is, that's not it. It's the governor of New York basically bringing in 1,000 new, sending National Guard, 1,000 National Guards in because the subways have become so unsafe. And she comes on board and says, we're not going to stand for this. We're not going to allow this in our community. And I'm like, well, no, you have, and you did. And now you're trying to work your way around it. And so what you're doing is, I can't believe that this is happening on the subways of New York. I can't believe homelessness is happening on the streets of California. Who allowed this to happen? How did we get here? This is an outrage. So you create this massive problem, and then you look around, you identify it, and then you pretend you're going to fix it. Is 1,000 National Guard members and some other assorted cops, is that going to do it in the subway? No, it's just the subway's gotten so bad in New York City that this is what has to be done as a Band-Aid fix, but it doesn't really address the issue. You went soft on crime. Guess what? Here's your sign. You're going to have escalations of criminal behavior. The criminals know that they can get away with it. They're going to do it. They are doing it. And so, this virtue signaling of we're going to really do something here, it's just such nonsense. Let's get into this one. Tristan, here we go. Let's do the intro. And I need to make sure that works. Yep. Governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, she is sending 1,000 National Guard members to New York City subways to combat ongoing crime. You've probably heard the stories. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's not good. Oh, skull rearranged with a blunt force object. That's going to leave a mark. Well, this is the state of the union as far as New York City subways go. We're trying to go back to Rudy Giuliani times, fix that broken window, right? But we're doing it with these little programs that aren't going to have any impact at all long term. Let's get into it. Here we go. We need to bring Rudy back, right? Where's Rudy Giuliani when you need him? He's trying to work out his bankruptcy, and he's been hosed financially. I think he's still claiming that Trump owes him a couple $1 million. Probably does. Rudy, not paying you. You screwed me. Not paying you. No one heading to their job or visit family or go to a doctor. Excuse me, we'll get you going here. No one heading to their job or visit family or go to a doctor appointment should worry that the person sitting next to them possesses a deadly weapon, she said. No, but the reason that people are bringing deadly weapons on to the subway is because you've had this total soft on crime approach. And the district attorneys that you've put in place, prosecutors that you've put in place, you defunded your police. It all points to, hey, criminals, have your way with the system. Have your way with the public. It's all good. We support you. And now, oh, good Lord, this isn't a good look. We need to get some more law enforcement up in here. Yeah. It's wild, right? Let's go ahead. Let's watch a little news. Little video time. That one. Let's just go. Boom. Does that work? Yeah. You know what? Kill the audio. We're going to actually unkill the audio. And here, that should be fine.
Multiple violent assaults, including this terrifying moment when a woman bashed cellist Ian Forrest in the head.
You know what? We're going to start over.
In New York City, subway riders are on edge.
I don't feel safe.
Crime is rising on the trains, according to NYPD data. In recent weeks, multiple violent assaults, including this terrifying moment when a woman bashed cellist Ian Forrest in the head, performing on a subway platform.
Guy's playing a cello, and you whack him in the head. What was he doing that was so bad? Was he that bad of a cellist? What are people doing?
The second time he's been attacked.
They say lightning doesn't strike twice, but this was a terrible moment of deja vu.
Today, New York's Governor Kathy Hochul said she is assembling a team of 1,000, including the National Guard and state police, to help secure the massive transit system.
These brazen, heinous attacks on our subway system will not be tolerated.
Teams will be stationed at the busiest and most problematic stations, searching bags. Civil liberties activists calling it overreaction and overreach. Do you think you will have an...
I worry more about the guys with, the illegal handgun strapped down their pants, right? I'm not really worried about somebody's bag. I'm worried about that bad guy who's stolen a gun, bought a stolen gun, coming on the subway, coming on with a knife. Yeah, I mean, I know what they're doing, but yeah, day late, dollar short, right?
impact on weapons getting on the subway with these bag searches?
Absolutely. First of all, it's a deterrent. And if anyone's thinking of coming into the subway system with a weapon, there's probably a good chance they're going to get caught.
Mike Kemper is the NYPD transit chief. The big problem, he says, is repeat offenders.
We arrest people all the time that have 50-plus arrests, 100-plus arrests.
The dramatic moves in New
Why aren't they in jail? Why aren't they in jail? Interesting, right? That would be racist. We can't have that. Ooh.
York happening as 77% of Americans are concerned about a rise in crime, even though FBI data shows violent crime has been dropping nationwide since a spike in 2020. But multiple cities are taking steps to crack down. In Philadelphia, the chief of transit police vowing to aggressively combat crime after 3 deadly shootings in a week involving the city's buses. 8 teenagers shot today alone.
We're going to target every criminal code on the books.
In San Francisco, voters passed 2 measures on Tuesday aimed at law and order, including expanding police surveillance tools with more cameras and drones. In New York City, they will also be adding cameras. In this control center, they can see every station. Soon, they will have cameras on every subway car.
And Stephanie, as you know, millions of people take the subways here every day. They certainly can't check everyone's bag. How is this going to work?
This guy.
So, Lester, the transit chief says they're going to focus on the busy stations and those places where they've had repeated security issues. These search teams will rotate around. They could pop up anywhere. The transit chief says that is part of the strategy, Lester.
Stephanie Goski in New York tonight. Thank you.
Lester Holt.
This chilling video shows a moment a single-engine plane.
All right, so got to get back to our article here. And we got to go. So some of the other articles and videos that I saw, people were saying, I don't need these right now. People are saying, you know what? I don't really like the National Guard checking people's bags. Don't really like the National Guard with their, assault rifle. Don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Well, it's either that or you get stabbed in the neck or maybe a bottle to the back of the head as you're, playing your very nice classical music, maybe a little opera music. I don't know what the guy was playing. And it's not like he was up there with an electric guitar trying to be Jimi Hendrix, right? He's playing some calming music. And somebody just whoosh in the back of the head with a bottle. That's a wake-up call. That's going to leave a mark, right? Series of recent high-profile crimes in the New York City subway system prompted Governor Kathy Hochul on Wednesday to send National Guard members into the sprawling underground network. That's what I was thinking. 1,000? I mean, there's miles and miles and miles of subway system. Is 1,000? What's 1,000 going to do? Well, it's just kind of a show of force. We're really cracking down. How did we get here? How did this happen? How did this come about? Anyway, I'm going to handle it. I'm going to get in there. Yeah, good luck with that. Hochul is ordering a force of nearly 1,000 people comprising 750 National Guard members, state police, and transit officers to conduct bag checks at some of the busiest stations. All right, do we have just incident after incident of people whipping, guns out of, or various weapons out of bags? Is that really what's going on here? No. It's just something they can point to and say, we're doing our job, trying to help out, everybody on the subway system. We want people to feel comfortable. Don't believe all the news stories that you're hearing. Don't go down that road. The effort, Hochul said, is intended to rid our subways of people who commit crimes. How about you just put them in jail? You know who they are. Put them in jail. But you're not willing to do that. So this whole Band-Aid of, we're going to check your bag. Would you mind opening up your bag? Is that an iPad? Is that a mini iPad in there? Protect all New Yorkers, whether you're a commuter or a transit worker. It doesn't matter who they are. You need to focus on the bad guys and incarcerating them for long periods of time. That'll clean things up. Oh, we can't do that. Again, for the reason I said earlier. Can't do that. No one heading to their job or to visit family or go to a doctor appointment should worry that the person sitting next to them possesses a deadly weapon. I'm worried that they're going to use it on me, not necessarily that they just have one. You know what I mean? Are they going to shoot me? All right, because if they're not, They seem pretty nice. They seem pretty reasonable. I don't know. Thomas Taffy, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority Police Department's chief of operations, said, reducing the fear of crime is as important as reducing crime itself. Nah, I got to go with reducing crime, incarcerating said criminals. Let's go down that path. Let's just go there. Because this other stuff, it's just feel good nonsense that doesn't necessarily make me feel good. But here's here's our press conference. Oh, we're doing work here. We got who we got here? Probably some guy from, I don't know, police department. And we got the governor here. Then we've got some guy from the National Guard. National Guard's like, how did we end up in the subway? What happened? Earlier in my career, I thought I was going to be out, actually helping emergencies. But is the subway an emergency now? Apparently it is. All right. I'll do my duty. Yes, sir. How can I help you? New York City Governor Hochul speaks at a news conference to announce new subway safety measures. Whew. So you're seeing this whole thing play out in city after city after city. All right, we got to address this. My next topic is going to be about San Francisco passed a couple of laws, a couple of ballot measures, whatever they were, that actually kind of a little bit conservative, just a scooch to the right. People are losing their minds saying, San Francisco is no longer progressive because things have gotten so bad that you're actually having to walk back measures like Measure 110 in Oregon that decriminalized all drugs. Hey, let's just make all drugs, legal. Let's just hand out all kinds of stuff so that we can promote drug tourism here. We're all about the harm reduction, all harm, no reduction. That's my pointed view on that. But you've got all these programs that have been just terrible ideas at the onset. And the rest of us sit around and go, we'll be talking about this in 2 or 3 years. And here we are. Here we are, right? Our focus is to respond to issues that most affected riders, the feeling of disorder, that fear of crime, he said. Several recent well-publicized attacks have led to increasing anxiety on New York City subways. I have concerns about riding the subway. I have just a scooch of anxiety. Dude, my anxiety would be, you know what? I like living. I don't like to be killed. I don't like to be maimed. We don't really want to have that happen. What can I do? You can take a taxi cab. All right. Yeah, living is good. I think I'll do that. Let me be very, very clear, Hochul said. These brazen, heinous attacks on our subway system will not be tolerated. But the criminals won't be put in jail or prison. So expect more of the same. Because after our 1,000-person, deal, what's that going to last? 2 months? 3 months? How long does the National Guard get deployed for that kind of deal? 2 months? All right, they're gone. Let the stabbing, let the robbing begin again, right? Sunday, a 64-year-old man was checking his phone when he was kicked into the tracks at Penn Station before Good Samaritans helped him get out of harm's way, meaning an enormous train coming to run him over. Well, that's good. It's good that he didn't get run over. A 27-year-old man was slashed aboard a northbound A train in Manhattan on Friday after the perpetrator allegedly made a homophobic comment at him. People do weird stuff, right? People do crazy stuff. That's a whole nother genre of this story is, hey, you let all these nut jobs out onto your streets. What did you think would happen? And then you let them do a whole bunch of drugs. What did you think would happen? Well, here we are. Last Thursday, a subway conductor was slashed in the neck in Brooklyn when he stuck his head out of a southbound C train. Right in the neck, right? When he stuck his head out of a southbound C train at Rockaway Avenue Station in Brooklyn. Can you imagine? Poke your head out of the train because you're trying to figure out where you're going, what's up ahead. You need to get that side view. And some just jackass, give a little stabby in the neck. Horrible. Guy's trying to get people to work. Hochul called for a major expansion in subway surveillance cameras. How about you put the criminals in jail, in prison? How about you incarcerate them? And then, your surveillance cameras, those are great and all, but then you'll mainly be just showing regular footage of people not getting stabbed. There's that thing happening. If a camera had been positioned on Alton Scott's conductor cabin last Thursday, we'd probably have already apprehended the person who slashed his neck. And he's probably wanted on a bunch of other charges, and you haven't incarcerated him. So this whole thing with probably, yeah. Or maybe they wouldn't have done it at all. With the camera, we said we have Wise cameras on we have Ring cameras on doors all across America. And what has happened with Porch Pirate? Yeah, it's gone up. It's gone up. Don't tell me a little camera. There's cameras everywhere right now. We had a really wild one here exactly a week ago. So Bellevue College, which is, it used to be Bellevue Community College, huge school. I mean, it's a massive community college, but it's also, they hand out 4-year degrees now through another university, Eastern University here in Washington, other side of the mountains. Had a young lady, I believe she was 18. She cut herself up and then claimed to have been sexually assaulted in the restrooms in the L building at Bellevue College. What she didn't know is that there's cameras everywhere there. And the mystery man that she claimed that raped her, they closed the school down. They emptied everything out. It was all over the news. There's a rapist running loose. Well, she didn't recognize that how many cameras there really are. And the mystery man, he didn't exist. The rapist, she made it all up. 100% bogus. Nonsense. Just complete BS. You know, obviously she's got something going on, because otherwise you wouldn't just, let's just see how this goes. I'm going to claim rape. And what that does to me is for all those other females that have something like that happen to them, just makes it so much harder for them to get the traction they need when something horrific happens to them. When you got, little miss whatever, liar, saying, yep, I was assaulted, and you weren't. Because the police basically said, there's no evidence. There's zero video evidence. And we've got video cameras 10 ways from Sunday that basically prove that. So that was an interesting one. The media didn't say anything. All the police did was release a statement that said, it doesn't look like there's a threat. There doesn't look like there's an active threat. And you're like, well, did you catch him? Or is there no threat at all because this didn't happen? And it was, did not happen. So, or maybe they wouldn't have done it at all. Well, there's cameras everywhere. People are still doing crazy stuff. Hochul also said she is proposing legislation that would empower judges to ban subway criminals from riding New York City. How about you just throw them in jail? What about that? Instead of doing all this other Mickey Mouse nonsense, how about you just do something that has an actual impact? We can't do that, Sean. We've proven that incarceration doesn't work. Well, this clearly isn't working. You're saying it doesn't work. Why don't you just do something? Oh, racist. She equated her proposal to laws that bar motorists convicted of DUI from getting behind the wheel. So basically, if you assault someone on the subways, you won't be on the subways. Well, where are you going to be? If they're anywhere but jail, I don't care. And a judge will now have the power to make sure that for at least 3 years, they'll have the ability to keep you off the subways. In jail? In jail? Oh, no, just off the subways so that they can go assault somebody on the sidewalk instead. Oh, that's good. That's good. All right. I mean, we're getting somewhere now, right? Despite the recent uptick in subway crime, MTA CEO Jano Lieber insisted that a disproportionate number of bad underground acts are committed by a relatively small number of New Yorkers. And you know what? New York City police and the prosecutors, they all know who the bad actors are. Every major metropolitan city has a list of the bad actors. We know who's committing the criminal acts. And what do? Just let them roam around. I mean, got to give the cops something to do, right? We don't incarcerate them. Why? Good question. 38 people were arrested and accused of crimes against transit employees last year, and they had more than 600 prior arrests. 38 people were responsible for 600 prior crimes. What? Lieber said he claimed that 1% of the subway suspects were responsible for more than 20% of the crime. Well, I'd say by taking down that 1% and incarcerating them, that's going to rid you of roughly 20% of said incidents. Well, so why don't you do that? Oh, yeah, we can't do that. That is not conclusive. That is not showing diversity. Yeah, there's no equity in that. We can't have that. I mean, That's way out there, way out over your skis in that one. We need to have a collaboration with the DA so that they have full information about the history of these people, the impact that they have had if they are career subway criminals, Bieber said. All right. Throw them in jail, lock them up, get them off the streets. It's the only thing that's going to happen. Only thing that's going to work out. To me, because that's the only real mechanism that you have. All this other stuff is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo that isn't really doing anything. But, it's good PR. You have that outrage and you just go down that whole thing of how did this happen? How did we get here? What happened? Yeah. Well, you allowed it to happen. You're not incarcerating them. There's your sign. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that like button for this video, share with friends and family. That's one of the greatest ways to get this content out if you feel like it's something others should, be exposed to. Not in a bad way, in a good way. All right. Thanks again for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now. An error message over here. Error. Please use a key. Open studio. Oh, looks like we're still going. Bad Underground Acts would be a good name for a band. It would. Bad Underground Acts. That is a good one, right? Drugs and dirt bags are the problem. I don't disagree with you. Don't disagree with you. Yeah. So much of this could just be, all right, yeah, hard drugs. Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to start incarcerating people. Don't care if you're an addict. Just this is what we're doing. Here's that story. You guys on the live stream. Here's a subway conductor slashed in the neck. That's just horrible. Guy lays out. Boom. Now he's bleeding out of the neck. Good Samaritan slashed at New York subway station hours after Hochul sends in National Guard. This one, yeah. I mean, it's not going to have much of an influence, right? It's not going to have much of an impact. That's just what's going on. All right, let's get into this next one. And you guys are just doing your thing. Bill, you guys are talking about Building 7. Wow. Going for it. I got to get off this live stream and see what you guys are talking about. So much of that, right? How many times have you guys watched the implosion of the World Tower? Tell me that's not a planned demolition. Clearly. Oh, an airplane has some, airplane fuel in it. It just blows up a building. I don't think so. Let's do this one. Tristan, here we go. So the San Francisco Chronicle, it has come right out and declared that the city of San Francisco can no longer be called progressive after the voters reject an agenda. You've got a couple of bills that have passed that you're like, whoa, what's going on in San Fran? Are we turning the corner? Is everything going to be hunky-dory? No. But one of the local newspapers has said, this isn't the sign of progress. This is moderate stuff. Some might even say Republican kind of stuff. That's law enforcement. That's where we're headed. San Fran, what's going on? Let's get into it. Here we go. I'm not going to have you watch Greg Gutfeld because while he's funny, I can't with a straight face play much from him. He is funny though. I do enjoy his comedy, but sometimes he says stuff that you're like, oh, should you be saying that to like her? No. All right, here we go. San Francisco Chronicle declared its hometown can no longer be called a progressive city after a series of ballot measures passed on Tuesday night, unwinding much of the progressive agenda in the city. Remember in the summer of love, all this craziness, all these crazy bills passed, defunding the police? Are we kind of coming full circle from that? That's what I think is happening because we've got the same damn thing happening here in Seattle. You've got like reasonable people coming in, being elected to office. Who are all the blue-haired people voting for? I don't know. The Chronicle made the stark declaration after ballot measures were approved by voters to loosen restrictions on the police and to screen welfare recipients for drugs. What? That passed in San Francisco? Holy cow. That was a ballot. That was something that the mayor, London Breed, was looking at. Oh, we might do this. It passed. How's that going to work out? Oh, there's going to be shenanigans associated with that. While a measure to boost developers was leading and likely to pass, furthermore, the paper noted that voters backed a slate of moderates to run the local Democratic County Central Committee, whose endorsements could reshape who was elected in San Francisco for years. 4 years ago, progressives won all but 2 seats on the DCCC. And how's that working out for San Francisco? Oof, yeah, not good. Not good. Progressives getting washed in San Francisco is the big NorCal story today. They got shellacked. They literally got shellacked. You know what? It's because it's taken up to this point in time for all these progressive policies to be proven that they are just insanity. All of this stuff, it just takes time, right? And so many of us sit on the front end and go, all right, yeah, let's defund the police. This will be the greatest concept ever. Throw that one. I mean, that's just such an easy one to cherry pick, right? We're going to invest in the community. We're going to get to the root causes of what's going on. You mean you're going to do nothing? You're going to reimagine, rethink, take some money away from the cops. Criminal activity is going to explode, which it did. People are going to not want to become cops. People are going to retire from the police department, which they have. And this happens in cities that are already low on cops. So now they're even lower on cops. And you're going to have criminal activity impact those on the low end of socioeconomic totem pole the most, the BIPOC community, the one that you're screaming about in the beginning. But it's taken us this long to go full cycle, right? It's like when you're bored with a game and you go, do something at halftime and you're like, I'm just going to walk around and third quarter, don't really care. I'm just going to see what's going on in the arena here. You ever do that? Maybe there's a band that you just don't really care about. All right, I know I paid good money for this ticket, but I just don't care about. I think the last band I did that to was, who was it? It was a Seattle band. They didn't sound good. But my point is you're trying to kill some time because you know what the end result is going to be. The one band that I do want to see is going to come on in the fourth quarter. The game's going to be exciting in the fourth quarter. I don't want to wait for this nonsense. And so we've had to wait since the summer of love for all this just ridiculous to have happen. All right, so now San Francisco is going to give cops back some of their ability to actually police. We're no longer defunding the police. Interesting. Okay, interesting. We're no longer just going to allow welfare recipients to do drugs all day. Interesting. You mean some of us actually said up front, that's not a good idea to just carte blanche give them the support that you think they need, even if they're on drugs. That may not work out all that well. And here we are, years later. Third quarter's gone by. Okay, here we are. Marjan Philhauer, a moderate candidate for supervisor, said, Tuesday's results show how the progressive-dominated DCCC has been out of touch with everyday Democrats in San Francisco. San Francisco Democrats want representation in their local Democrat Party. Well, I think they've had it, and that's what you voted for. It was just a little extreme. And now you're realizing, Democratic parties, their whole agenda is extreme. Yeah. So is San Francisco, are they going to vote, more to the right than moderate? No, hell no. It's San Fran, right? San Fran. So they're going to have all these policies that kind of get up and get kind of cozy with the issue that they need to solve, but not really going to do anything. Progressives generally support affordable housing, tenant protections, a proposed public bank. That should be fun. Treating the drug crisis like a public health emergency and diverting people accused of low-level offenses into treatment to reduce incarceration, and then taking all those crimes that were once felonies and make them misdemeanors so that you can take people accused of low-level offenses into treatment to reduce incarcerations. And reduce incarceration, that's the bottom line, right? I'm all about incarcerating. Throw them in jail. Cool their jets. Get them off the street for a little bit. I don't care if they're rehabbed or not. Just get them off the streets. Don't care. Seriously, don't care. They generally oppose coercing drug users and those with mental illness into treatment. Yeah, and that's why we got a bunch of nut jobs that are whacked out of their mind, doing drugs on the street, pooping everywhere. And we consider that okay. That's progress. That is what progress looks like, folks. So with mental illness into treatment and reject a law enforcement-led response to the drug and homelessness crisis, they typically reject that. Absolutely. Not this time. But they don't always have a unified message. Homelessness and high crime in San Francisco have made national headlines in recent years, as many residents left the city during the pandemic and did not return. However, in recent months, many businesses and tech leaders are returning to the city as AI has re-energized the economy and is leading to a massive boom. I think that is an overblown narrative. I think you will have a small subset of employees, AI, that will come into town. But literally, the whole thing with AI is you can do it on your computer, right? So why do you need to be sitting in an office with, oh, we got really fast Wi-Fi here? I mean, these guys are, computer nerds to begin with. They're going to be able to get the high speed to do their job, right? They're going to figure that out. They don't need an office to go sit in. They'd prefer not to be in an office. Founders and investors who moved to Miami and elsewhere are returning to a boom in artificial intelligence and an abundance of tech talent. Well, the tech talent, yep, that might be true. Seattle gets that pull here as well. Businesses will crank up a business in Seattle because they know that somebody quits. Well, there's a whole talent pool right here already, physically here, for the hiring. The Chronicle also did not sound bullish on progressives regaining influence over the city's government anytime soon. Progressives are looking at a thin bench of future leaders staring down a deep-pocketed tech community that thinks their policies are destroying the city. That sounds good, and I would love to believe that, but a city like Seattle, city like San Francisco, they've just voted blue for so long. I don't think they have the ability to one day just kind of pop up and go, all right, guys, changing our ways. Because that would mean admission that all of these policies have just been terrible. Terrible. Oh, we'll just see how defunding the police goes. Greatest thing ever. Divert that money. Should be great. Moderate Mayor London Breed is up for re-election in November against a progressive challenger. Either calling her a moderate, I get it, relative to where the scale has slid. But calling her a moderate, all right, she's had a couple of policies that I'm like, oh, good for her. Yeah, good for her. The bottom line is, not much is going to change, which the paper argued will be a further test of the city's political realignment. The progressive challenger versus London Breed. So, where does that go? San Francisco can no longer be called that due to newspaper declares after law and order measures pass. That's what it was. It was law and order. I mean, you're basically redoing all of the policies that were in place to begin with because you've had some time to look at it and you've gone, ooh, criminal statistics, they are not looking good. This is not looking up. This is not the direction that we want things to head in. And yet, here you are, right? And here's how we got there. It's wild. I don't think there was much here, but you had, it was Proposition F, which requires drug screening for people receiving public benefits and would force drug addicts to go into treatment if they want to continue receiving those benefits. I'm behind that one, but the actual mechanics of enforcing that, how are you going to do that? Are you literally going to arrest people and put them in jail? You either go to jail or you go to treatment. Take your pick. Are you really going to do that in San Fran? I don't think so. The second measure of proposition that did win, Proposition E, which would give law enforcement better surveillance tools and rein in oversight over the force, allowing looser restrictions on car chases, for example. You're going to need to unloosen so many of those restrictions. I don't see that happening because you've tightened down law control's ability to do their job so badly. And that's why these criminals know, that what they're doing, they can get away with. And even if they do get busted, they're not in a city that's going to prosecute them and give them the jail time that they deserve. So until you start putting these bad mofos in prison, I've got podcasts for days, right? That's the bottom line. None of this is really going to go away. There's no effective solution here. All this other stuff is just like, well, we're going to give them some of their ability to do their job back. But, we're not really going to, we're not going to give them their full toolkit back. Just give them one. It's all right. Go out there with that one and do your job there, big guy. The reporters added that in addition to approving these measures, voters also backed a slate of moderates to run the local Democratic County Central Committee, whose endorsements could reshape who's elected in San Francisco. Okay, so we read that. Same thing you got going on in Seattle. Same thing. You've got a handful of moderates there now, and they've got a majority. The the absolute nut job is out of there, Shama Sawant, and she was just so bad for the city. Yeah, let's tax Amazon and see if they leave. Oh, they left. Wow, good riddance to them. Just some absolute not getting who's paying the bills type behavior. And let's do rent control. Let's do not allow people to be booted out for not paying their rent for years and years on end because we're Seattle. I'm sorry, we're Freeattle. You got so much in the way of policy there that isn't going to get undone by, a couple of propositions. But it is a step in the right direction. Does it have any real impact? I would say no. I would, my odds on that would be no, it's not. And then we're all going to be sitting around going, well, they tried, but it just didn't work out. Didn't go the way they thought it would. Because you got to throw some of these, you got to have a hard line. You got a hard situation. You're going to have to drop a hard line, a hard hammer on these folks. And we're just not doing that. So they spoke to supervisor candidate Marjan Philauer, said to be a moderate, who said that the local DCCC, which has been run by progressives, has been out of touch with actual everyday for years. Progressives are looking at a thin bench. We talked about that. San Francisco residents seem to be fed up with the city's soft on crime policies. Crime and homelessness in the Bay Area have become a plague for residents, local business owners, and tourists. Big corporate franchises like Nordstrom's and Macy's, which we have just rode into the ground, right? What's funny is I did the Macy's story the other day. Macy's closed, San Francisco Macy's in the Union Square area, the mall. And people from San Francisco were like, this is clickbait. It's not closing for another 2 years. You're like, yeah, but it's closing. That's the point. Go suck on that. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, but it's closing. It's closing. Your big flagship Macy's store is closing, and you're trying to defend it. You're doing a high profile podcast on this, and you're lying about the fact that it's closing right away. I didn't say it was closing immediately. I just said it was closing. So you got that. So they've decided, Nordstrom's and Macy's decided to pull stores from the area because of rampant theft and their consumers being scared away by crime. Who isn't scared away? Nobody wants to be. It's like that guy we saw earlier. All right, you got two options today. Number one, you get bashed in the head with a bottle while you're playing your cello in the New York City subway system. Or number two, that doesn't happen to you. Yeah, which one are you going to choose? I'd like to keep the back of my neck, somewhat abrasion free. Maybe, don't want to have any stitches back there. I'd like to, be able to move my neck around. Yeah, nobody wants to get whacked when they're trying to go to work, right? But is this stuff going to help? No, it's not. It's just not. Too far gone. That's my opinion. Too far gone. Other people would say, but you got to start somewhere. All right. Okay. So it's a start. We'll see. The proof is in the pudding, right? We'll see what kind of impact it has. I think what you're seeing across the United States is you are starting to see some of the criminal activity decrease, but some of that is because people aren't reporting this stuff anymore. They've gotten so, Andrea Suarez uses the word inured, meaning you just got used to a crappy situation. You're inured to the problem. It's just normal everyday Seattle behavior. It's normal everyday San Fran behavior. It's normal riding the subway bus, getting whacked in the back of the head. You're inured to the fact that that's normal. Somebody got cracked in the back of the head while playing an instrument for the rest of us to enjoy. That's normal. Not normal. Not normal. But, are we going to make the changes that we need to? So many of you guys would say, no, they'll just keep voting blue. And I think that's what happens. You've just got to suffer through this. And if you want to live through this type of environment, stay in Seattle, live in Seattle, hang out in Seattle. There's nothing wrong here. It's all good. People are saying that about San Fran too, and New York City. They're not necessarily saying it about New York City subway, because we've had how many incidences lately? Yeah, a handful. And things have just gone wildly sideways. So the San Francisco Chronicle here, kind of talking about progressives and how the age of progressive is over in San Fran. Nah, I think you're just on the forefront of maybe things changing just a scooch, because they were on such a train wreck that it wasn't sustainable, right? Wasn't sustainable. You're going to have a little bit of pullback, but that pullback isn't going to be the Rudy Giuliani impact that you need to have happen to really get things going. And a city like Seattle, city like San Francisco, city like Portland, they will not engage with people like, how about we throw out Governor Greg Abbott of Texas? Could you imagine the people? Here's what I'm doing day one. And he would do it. And it wouldn't be some horse's ass thing either. It would be, all right, here's what we're going to do. People would just be, oh, good Lord, we can't have him in office. That'd be terrible. He's actually going to get something done. He's going to incarcerate those poor people. This is horrible. We can't have him. No, this is racist. And this is, we can't go down that road. Keep voting blue. See how that works out for you. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you on the next one. And thanks for being part of this podcast. Bye for now. All right, live streamers. What do we got going on over here? I saw somebody donate a bunch more stuff. Is that correct? Is that right? Oh, the chat is just going. Inured to shenanigans. That's so true. Yep. All right. I'm going to go do some other stuff. I got to record some other podcasts, believe it or not. But I hope you guys have a great one. And I hope you, if you want to, for kicks, for laughs, watch the State of the Union address. I think this one will be a good one. I think there's going to be shenanigans, because his cognitive abilities, unless they give him just a super duper dose of whatever kind of senior speed that he's on, I don't think this is going to be a good one, but it'll be a good one for you and I. So watch it, don't watch it, do whatever you want to do, but know that that's an option out there for your comedy for the evening. All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here on this live stream. I'll catch up with you on the next one. Bye for now.